The ride was long, and after a while it was clear. They were on an expressway. Jack couldn't see anything because from the moment he was put in the back seat of the car, one of the three men put a thick cotton pillowcase over his head and tied his hands behind him with what felt like plastic handcuffs. His legs were tied up as well, near his ankles. Thinking back to his abduction, he'd gotten out of his car in the parking garage as he had done scores of times in the past. He'd barely noticed the car that pulled up and stopped behind him. Two men with sunglasses had walked up to him. The guns in their hands let him know that they were serious. Jack never noticed the third man who stepped behind him. Before he realized what had happened, he felt a pinprick, much like being bitten by an insect, and had fallen to the floor of the garage. He couldn't move at all. He was unable to raise his voice or even speak. Jack was aware that his pulse had greatly increased and his heart was racing. Jack realized that two of the men had picked him up, gotten him to his feet, and walked him between themselves to their car. Jack's feet weren't cooperating, so they literally dragged him across the parking garage floor. He could feel himself being laid down in the back seat. It was like he was in a coma, but he was still awake. The questions he asked himself now were the same ones he asked when they tossed him in the back of the car. What's the deal? Where are these guys taking me? And what do they want from me? Jack tried to remain calm. Slowing his breathing while keeping his eyes closed was a technique he had read about in one of his running magazines. He never thought that he'd be forced to try to use it in a position like this. He vaguely remembered the article indicating if the steps were followed, it helped him to avoid panic attacks. Jack thought, who are these guys? And what have I done to warrant this? And how long will it be before anyone realizes that I've disappeared?